What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality podcast. I'm your host. I'm Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today is going to be the final episode of the Discipline Bootcamp series, episode number 6, which is our bonus discipline, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you haven't listened to any of the Discipline Bootcamp episodes, I highly recommend that you go back, catch yourself up on disciplines 1 through 5, so that way, when you get into the bonus discipline, discipline 6, you already have a really strong mindset, and they carry over into each other. So just to give you a brief recap, discipline number 1 is keep the commitments that you make to yourself. Discipline number 2 is everything you want is on the other side of your fears. Discipline number 3 is are you willing to suffer just a little bit more? Discipline number 4 is your past doesn't disqualify you from being successful. And finally, we carried it out and finished it off last week with discipline number 5, which is consistently good, not inconsistently perfect. And I kind of hinted at this along the way with the series that there's going to be a bonus discipline. So discipline number 6 is what we're talking about today. And the reason why this was a bonus discipline is because I learned this, or I adopted this mindset earlier this year. And it's something that completely changed my entire life. It, to me, is probably the most important discipline because if you use this mindset in your everyday life and you shift your perspective towards this mindset, you're going to live a happier, more fulfilled, and more successful life. I can promise you that because I've seen it with myself, but I've also seen it in my clients. So discipline number 6, the bonus discipline to finish us off with the Discipline Bootcamp, which the Discipline Bootcamp is your guide to helping you stop tolerate your own bullshit so you can finally win in life, is no problems, only solutions. And if you are a client of mine, then you know this one probably, and you probably hear it in your sleep because of how often I say it. In fact, I say it so often that I had a client make me a sewing piece that I hang in my office that says no problems, only solutions. In fact, one of our new apparel that you guys have seen a little bit of sneak peeks of if you're following the Powerhouse Mentality on Instagram and myself on Instagram, it says no problems, only solutions on the back of this incredible pump cover, which is coming soon and is extremely limited, like extremely. We only have 50 pieces. So if you're a fan of the podcast and you're a fan of the mission and you're the mentally tough and you want to wear high quality apparel that literally is built for your lifestyle, this is it. And right now, while I'm on the topic, for Halloween, which is tomorrow, so if you're listening to this when this episode first comes out, you still have time to take advantage of this. At 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on October 31st is when it ends. If you spend $99 or more on the website buying your gear for the mentally tough, you will get one free OG tee. So one of our high quality, high performance t-shirts, you're going to get that for free. It's a $30 value. So we want to give you guys that because we want to appreciate you for supporting us. And, trick or treat, we want to give you a little bit of a treat for Halloween. But let's get into no problems, only solutions. And like I mentioned, this one is a special place in my heart. I say it so frequently that all of my clients know it. And like I said, my clients make me posters and shit with it. This one is all about perspective. And I'm a true believer that perspective drives your performance. Your performance in life, your performance in training, in your career, every area of your life. And we only get a limited amount of time. We only get a limited amount of energy and focus to put into each day. And that battery drains. And as you can imagine, it takes a lot of time to recharge. So if you're spending all of your time, energy, and focus on problems, then you have very little to none left to develop the solution. And worrying about the problem isn't going to make the problem any better. In fact, I would argue that worrying only makes things worse. The more you focus on pain, the more you focus on struggle, the worse it becomes. Psychologically proven. Now, if you don't have enough time, energy, and focus to develop a solution, then it's going to take you a lot longer to develop a solution than it should. And the longer it takes you to develop a solution, the longer it takes you to do whatever you need to do, to be successful, to be great, to accomplish the goal, to get over this issue. Most people drain their batteries just worrying about a problem instead of using that battery and using that mindset and that fuel to create solutions to move the needle forward. Now, when you approach your life with a no problems, only solutions mindset, then you're more likely to solve problems, you're more likely to overcome obstacles, and you're going to be more grateful and you're going to become better, all while being more positive and being able to truly enjoy your life experiences. When you focus on the problem, it gives that problem more power. And the more power that the problem has, the less power that you have, and the less power that you have, the less likely you are to overcome said problem and come up with a solution. So always focusing on the problem, in my opinion, seems like a pretty miserable way to live the short life that you have. So don't spend so much of your life worrying about life that you actually forget to live it. Because I did this for a really long time. I spent most of my life just riddled with anxiety and depression that I just let so much of my life fly by. And it's one of the reasons why I talk about all this stuff all the time to you guys. I wasted a lot of my life worrying. And I get caught up in that sometimes still to this day. But a lot of the times now I'm able to kind of do an overview and ask myself, is it really that serious? Right? Well, what's the solution here? Instead of, oh my gosh, this is such a horrible problem. And one thing I have to add is that if it doesn't impact you 5 years from now, then don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. Most people spend way too much time worrying and focusing on problems that you won't even remember in a few days. Sometimes the solutions are harder to find, but they're always there if you dig deep enough. And if you're focusing on the problem, then you're not going to be able to figure it out. But as in typical powerhouse mentality fashion, I'm not just going to tell you guys the information and tell you guys the discipline. I'm going to give you the action. I'm going to give you the application so that you can apply this to your life so that you can learn and grow from it. Because all knowledge is worthless unless you take action on it. So the action here is pretty simple, and it's not going to take a lot of explanation. Just adopt this mindset into your day-to-day. Whenever you're faced with a problem, whenever you're faced with an issue, whenever you're faced with something that you don't know how to overcome, instead of worrying about the problem, instead of focusing on the problem, I want you to say, no problems, only solutions. What is the solution? What is the good that can come from this? What can I learn from this experience? Because no matter how terrible or how horrific or how awful something seems, there's always something to take from it. Even if it's an extreme failure. We learn so much more from our losses than we do our wins. Our losses are exponentially more valuable than our wins. The unfortunate thing is that most people don't have the perspective to look at it like that. So instead of using their failures or their losses as ways to catapult themselves forward and become better, they look at these losses and failures as something to actually push them backwards. And they lose confidence, they lose belief in themselves. When in all reality, if they just had a perspective or a mindset shift, it would be a completely different scenario. Now, no problems, only solutions is something that I literally say to myself on a daily basis. Because owning a business, having a ton of clients that I help on a day-to-day basis, training, being a wife, having a family, like there are so many instances throughout the day where I can let this big problem or this little problem deter me from doing anything else during my day. Like how many times have you said to yourself, oh no, I can't keep a commitment to myself, like work out or do what you need to do for work because your mind is so focused on a problem that literally isn't going to impact you in 5 years. But you're thinking about it because it's what's on top of your mind. Instead of saying, okay, no problems, only solutions. Let's find the solutions to the problem so that way we can wipe out the problem, overcome it, and tackle it, and move forward and learn from the experience and continue to move towards the person that you want to become. Again, it's not always going to be that easy because if it were easy, everybody would do it, right? If it were easy, everybody would be in phenomenal shape. Everybody would be super successful and financially free, but that's not how it is. So shift your perspective because perspective drives your performance. No problems, only solutions. Share this episode of the podcast with somebody who needs it, because I know that a lot of people need to hear this episode and need to hear this no problems, only solutions mission, but a lot of people don't listen. So go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be, and I'll check in with you guys on the next one. I know this was a short one, but we got a bunch of big episodes coming up with a couple guests, so I'm excited about it, and I hope that you guys make today great and enjoy your Halloween.